Welcome to the Business Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly and Jimenez. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the 7 key mistakes that I see so frequently with entrepreneurs as they design their 2021 business strategy. And I know that you're going to want to totally crush it and start the year with a bang. And so these are the 7 things that I want you to avoid at all costs, especially this year. So it's never been more important that you are arming yourself with the best information, the best strategies, and the best tools to really go at it next year with everything you got. And today, we're going to talk about all the obstacles, the challenges, the mistakes that I want you to totally overcome, that you want you to totally skip so that we can get right to growing your brand. All right, so mistake number 1 is to just wing it. Is to just kind of take a vacation, get busy playing video games, taking like 6 weeks off at the end of the year and maybe the beginning of the year to just relax and wing it. And listen, I'm not saying that you can't take some time off. If you've been hustling and crushing it this year and really going at it, you deserve a break, and that's totally okay. What I'm talking about is if you've just been kind of leaning on, the little hope strategy and you're just hoping for things to happen and you're not actually going after it, you still have time to course correct, get things, in order in your life and in your business and get going with your brand. Now, I absolutely love to talk about this because I think it's so important. When we're winging things, we don't have a strategy or a plan. Truly, we just have a wish list, right? We're making all these lists of goals, but we don't have a plan to actually make them happen. So we end up with a wish list and we're just tapping into that hope business and that hope marketing, praying that things will come our way. And that is a terrible, terrible recipe. It's a recipe for disaster. So I don't want you to wing it. I want you to have a strategy. I want you to have a plan. And that is what this series is all about. It's going to help you level up. It's going to help you think outside the box. It's going to help you put your stuff together and really think about the upcoming year from a strategic lens. I really want you to start thinking about adopting a millionaire and a billionaire mindset. Most solopreneurs, small business owners, and people who are just kind of meddling in business, they don't have a strategy. They don't learn from the best people. They don't go out there and surround themselves with incredible people that are going to lift them up. They just kind of wing it. They just kind of try things. And there is definitely a level and a degree in which all entrepreneurs have to wing something, right? Like there is always going to be a percentage of something that you just can't anticipate it. 2020 is like exhibit A, but you want to be as prepared as you possibly can. You don't want to just hope that things will turn out better, that things will improve. No, you got to have a strategy and you have to have a plan. And so often I will hear people be like, but Kim, I just don't feel like it. I'm not motivated. I don't have the inspiration. And I'm sorry, but in this particular space, I have no empathy for that. There are no excuses. This is the year. You're in or you're out. Entrepreneurship doesn't work whenever you feel like it, right? Like we actually don't have a guaranteed paycheck. We got to go out there and make it happen. We got to pay some bills. We got to fund the mission. We got, impact to make. We got a community to serve. We got people to reach and we got things to do. We get one life. That is not the attitude of a successful entrepreneur. And trust me, we all struggle with this to some degree. I'm not perfect in this area. There's many times where I don't feel like doing something and I'm so tired or I've just really hustled or I'm just not having a good health day. But I have to tap into that inner grit, that inner determination, that inner spirit, that inner purpose, and the inner why and go after it anyway. You're not always going to feel like doing things and you can't rely on your feelings to get moving, right? So I love this quote from Jerome Bruner. He says, "You're more likely to act yourself into feeling than to feel yourself into action. In other words, once you take the first step and you engage with whatever is ahead of you, whatever is on your to-do list or on your project list, you're so much more likely to continue doing that thing and feel motivated and excited to keep moving forward. 9 times out of 10, that is my experience. If I don't feel like doing something, I make a little agreement with myself and I say, okay, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to work on this task. If, I'm 15 minutes in and I'm just totally tired and not motivated, then okay, I can leave it to the next day. The majority of the time, once I actually start engaging with that task, I get excited, I get motivated, and I follow through. This is all about compromise and knowing yourself and finding ways that you can still be motivated even when you don't feel like it. Mistake number 2 is not looking at your data. And this is one of the things that I walk through step by step with our members inside the Business Lodge. In fact, every year we have this tradition in our community where we go through our Prosperous New Year workshop, where we literally lay out our entire business strategy for the upcoming year. And there's like a template, there's tons of resources, there's like workshops and videos and trips and training. And did I say trips? Tips and training. And there's a lot that comes up during those sessions. And this is one of the things that I really push my members on. I have a saying, and if you're a member, say this over and over again, but it's know thy numbers. You have to know your data. You cannot create a plan to excel whatever you did in 2020 if you don't have a comparison, if you don't have a benchmark, right? So I want you to actually be intentional. Pull your email list growth, pull your social media growth, pull your marketing numbers, pull your sales. What is the lifetime average customer value? What is your churn rate if you have a recurring membership or a recurring service? What is your close rate if you're pitching clients? All those data points will help you make an informed decision as to what the strategy needs to look like in the upcoming year. And if you don't have a clue where to start, I want you to start simple, right? If you have no customers, your first data point is, well, I have 0, right? So I need to get my first 10 customers or my first 100 customers. Look at your traffic data, look at your analytics. Any data that you can pull from your business is what you want to have in front of you, and that will help educate your next 3 to 5 moves. So mistake number 3 might take you by surprise because I've been harping on this idea of closing the year strong and starting the new year with everything you got. But this mistake is not pausing and reflecting. If you fail to pause and reflect on the previous year, on what went well and what went terribly wrong, you're missing out on one of the most powerful tools that you have in your arsenal as an entrepreneur. And again, that comes back to cultivating this millionaire and billionaire mindset, is thinking bigger and taking some time to slow down so that you can speed up. I think that oftentimes we have this negative association with being effective as a leader, of being effective as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and that is synonymous with working your tail off 24/7. And yes, you are going to have to work your tail off, make no mistake. However, it is also super important that you take time off, right, to reflect and to think and to create white space so that you can look strategically at your next 3 to 5 moves and not have to be so entrenched in your work that you literally miss the forest for the trees. It's all about thinking bigger and playing chess instead of playing checkers as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. So, what do you need to do to make this happen? I strongly recommend taking an entire weekend off if you can. If you can negotiate with your husband to take care of the kids, even if it's just for a couple hours in the afternoon, and you can just go to a special place or lock yourself in your office or ideally rent an Airbnb. I know we're not all traveling right now, or we don't all feel comfortable traveling, but ideally, in an ideal world, you'll be outside of your space and you have time to look at all this information and really reflect on what's working, what's not working. And as Gary Keller shares in his book, The One Thing, you can figure out what your one big move needs to be. What is the one thing that you need to accomplish or do that'll make everything else in your to-do list and your project list and your goal list easier or unnecessary. Mistake number 4, we are all too familiar with, and this one is failing to anticipate challenges. I don't think that there's any way we could have anticipated what has gone on this year unless maybe you were a part of some elitist group and, you had the inside scoop. But it's important more than ever that as entrepreneurs, we develop this skill. And this totally includes me. Like, I was not prepared for this crazy year. And thank God I had positioned myself, my business, and my team to win and succeed regardless. But if I hadn't, we would have been in serious trouble. And this year would have been one of a lot of hurdles and pain instead of one of growth and expansion. So I really want to make sure that you're thinking ahead. What are the potential challenges that might come up that might slow down your progress? Play devil's advocate for a second in your business and think through, okay, these are my goals. What are the things that could happen that could totally derail my progress? And that doesn't necessarily have to be a cataclysmic event or a world, a global pandemic. It can be something as simple as, I know that I want to achieve X goal, but I don't necessarily have the discipline yet to get there. Or I know that I will self-sabotage, or I know there's a weak link in my team right now that needs to be patched and filled, or I can anticipate that I will have resistance around this big, kind of idea of kind of going for it and pitching myself for the first time or really increasing my prices. All of those things, thinking through the blocks, the hurdles, and the challenges will really help you to anticipate those challenges and then create solutions ahead of time so that when you do face those challenges, you have a plan to fall back on. And don't get me wrong, again, there's not a magic formula here. There will be, of course, tons of situations that come your way that you will not be able to anticipate. And that's part of doing business. That's part of being an entrepreneur and a strong one at that. So it's important that you start paying attention to what those potential hurdles will be. All right, mistake number 5 is so common. I've made this mistake many times, and I see this really frequently with online entrepreneurs specifically, and that's failing to integrate personal goals and business goals. I never want you to be in a situation where I've been in my business and where I've had many of my friends be. And I'll tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was sitting in a mastermind group and I was talking to some of the people that I was masterminding with. And they were sharing all of the different hurdles that they were experiencing. And despite being super successful in their business, they were filing for a divorce, or they had not been able to see their kids for 6 months, or they were having serious personal, mental, and emotional struggles because they hadn't paid attention to the things in life that actually allow them to run a business. I think that we can get so focused on trying to reach the next milestone in our businesses and in our companies that we fail to remember the foundation that enables us to chase after our dreams. Those are things like our relationships with our spouses, our relationships with our kids, our relationships with our extended family, with friends, with people who actually help and inspire us to keep pushing forward. It's the people who actually pour into us and support us so that we can exceed, our expectations and move forward in life. So I really want you to think about what are your personal goals and how are you going to marry them to your business goals. They have to work in tandem. Otherwise, you are sure to achieve your business goals and then be completely alone at the end of it. Chris and I talk about this all the time, together as we examine our life and examine our business goals. And we've said since the beginning that it doesn't matter how successful we become. If at the end of the day we don't have each other, this was not worth it. So we've done a lot in the past couple of years to try to make our marriage more of a priority, because in the beginning of our careers, like the marriage took the back seat, right? Like everything was about the business. We were kind of in crisis mode. We were like literally fighting for our lives. And it was really challenging. There were so many struggles and so many situations where we truly thought we weren't going to make it. Everything from, almost filing for bankruptcy to being like literally last to our negative like $500 in our bank account, to really big challenges in his business that, I just don't have time to share in this particular episode. But I encourage you, if you want to learn more about our story, I will link one of the episodes that we did over on his podcast and you can check it out. But basically, you really want to think about how you're going to integrate your business goals and your life goals and how they're going to help and feed on each other instead of clash and cause, distance, separation, and even some strife between your family, your personal life, and even like if you're not married or you don't have kids, your mental well-being, your physical well-being. All of those things are things that we totally neglected, Chris and I, at the beginning of our careers, and we have paid a very high price for doing so. So I want you to avoid this because it's such an easy trap to fall into. It's such an easy kind of thing to revert to, like, okay, nothing else matters, only the business. You have to find a balance, no matter how hard it is, to figure out how you're going to grow personally, like as a person, how you're going to grow in your relationships, in your family life, your finances. All of those things need to be tied to your business goals so that they're working in tandem instead of conflicting. Mistake number 6 is so key, you guys. And this one is not having a personal growth plan. In his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, John C. Maxwell talks about growth gaps. It's literally the space between where you are right now and where you want to be. So you envision yourself in a roadmap to success, right? In your success path, and you're right here and you want to get to right here. That space in between is your growth gap. And there's a growth gap in different aspects. Maybe your growth gap is around mindset, right? Maybe you really need to work on your mindset so that you can level up. Maybe you have a growth gap around your personal relationships and your personal life. And there's a lot that you maybe need to clean up in that area that is holding you back from really reaching your potential in your business. Maybe you have a growth gap around marketing, or you have a growth gap around leadership, or you have a growth gap around team building. All of these things are holes in your journey, and that's totally normal, right? We're not born with all these like intrinsic abilities to be amazing leaders. You have to realize that everybody starts at the same, starts at some level. Not everyone starts the same, but at some level, and we're all missing different aspects that would make us incredible leaders, that would help us reach our full potential. And so it's so important that you have the personal awareness to identify what your growth gap is and create a personal growth plan that'll enable you to bridge those gaps, to grow in all these different areas in your life so that you can become the leader that you want to be, so that you can accomplish the goals that you want to set. And that 2021 business strategy will not happen if you're not investing in yourself. That personal growth plan is key. So one of the things that you can do is list out how you're going to, actually bridge those gaps. What are the resources that you need? What relationships do you need to really cultivate? What are some of the habits that you need to form? Habits are a big one. I want you to make a list and actually follow through with a personal growth plan. That means that you're going to list out maybe, these are all the books that you need to read. And maybe the habit that is going to be connected to that specific aspect of your growth plan needs to be that you're going to read 10 to 20 pages every day, and you're going to schedule time for personal growth. That is key. For me, Fridays are my personal growth days. Those are the days that I'm going through online courses, that I'm meeting with my mentors, that I'm attending, live seminars and live calls, that I'm actually implementing what I'm learning. And then every day for me, I have a full calendar schedule of all the books I'm going to read. I'm actually super grateful because this is something that Chris, my husband, really instilled in me. He helped me reinforce inside of his Startup Books membership. He curates a bunch of amazing business books and gives you an entire reading plan. So we'll link that resource below if you're interested. But I have my entire 2021 reading list already mapped out. I know what I'm going to read, when, what month, and I know how many pages I have to read in order to get there. And so having a curated personal growth plan is so key. Figure out what courses you need to go through, who you need to mentor with, super important, how you're going to level up your mindset, your ability to manage finances, your team building, your leadership, all of those aspects where you see that you have a gap. That's where you want to be. And finally, mistake number 7 is to go at it on your own. Now, I know that oftentimes you are not starting a business with a partner. You're probably running this solo. Maybe it's a side gig, or maybe you're super advanced. We have a very diverse community. And so one of the things that I want you to think about is, do you need a team in the new year? And if you are at the beginning stages and you're not yet profitable, how can you actually afford to delegate to somebody else on a per project basis? Meaning, can you leverage resources like Fiverr and Upwork to do smaller tasks in your business that can give you back more of that white space, more of that time that you need in order to think bigger, right? To cultivate that millionaire mindset, to work on your personal growth plan. All those things are really important. And then if you're a little more advanced and maybe you already have a virtual assistant, are there any other gaps in your business that you know that you can either hire out, you can outsource, you can, pull in one of your kiddos, you can get an intern, whatever it is that you need in order to get help is super key. And then finally, like if you're scaling out, what are some of the gaps and the holes in your team? That's the stage that we're in right now. And we're really focused on building a team because I know that I'm not going to be able to accomplish the goals that I have for 2021 on my own. It's not going to happen that way. I have to be intentional about building my team, and not just that, but building up leaders within my team that are going to continue leading the next generation of hires that we add on to our team. So that's so important and so key. And finally, as we kind of go into this process, it kind of has a double whammy, right? So it has the idea of going at it solo from a team perspective, but also going at it solo from a mentor perspective. Do you have a mentor that can help you bridge that gap, right? So I see this so often, and we've talked about mentors here on the channel so many times and on the podcast, and I just want you to take this seriously. I hope that you realize the difference between someone who actually takes mentorship seriously and learns from other people because they know and understand that they're literally skipping decades of trial and error in order to avoid those common pitfalls and just skyrocket into. Look, I will tell you this. If you don't believe in mentorship, just please at least consider my story. I would not be here today where I am at the 31 years old, just turned 31. Thank you. Happy birthday to me. I wouldn't be here. I would never be where I am. I did not have any of the examples or I didn't have entrepreneurship didn't run in my blood. I didn't have these glaring opportunities to be an entrepreneur. I learned from people I intentionally found people that were ahead of me, and I figured out where I wanted to be. I wanted to find people that were already doing what I wanted to do, people that knew what they were talking about. And I learned from them from afar. I read all their books. I listened to all their podcasts. I signed up for every webinar, and I bought their courses and I bought their memberships. And eventually I was able to afford to work one-on-one with them. So I really want you to take mentorship seriously, okay? I know that I run a membership site, and of course I run courses and I mentor a lot of people, so I am biased, but I'm also an example of where you can go when you have the right guidance. And I'm not saying you have to join one of our courses or join the business lounge. We're pretty full right now anyway, but find the right place for you, okay? Don't just sit on your laurels and expect to have all this amazing insight and this wisdom just come to you, by osmosis. It's not going to happen. You have to be intentional about learning from other people, seeking those relationships, finding people who you can model and emulate before you go out in the world and try to innovate all on your own. So many entrepreneurs crash and burn because they're not teachable, because they're not willing to really do what it takes to learn and to expand their circle of influence in a way that is impactful and personal. So I hope that you take these 7 mistakes seriously. I hope that they empower you to go at it next year with everything you got. I mean, I want you to leave it all on the line next year. You deserve it. The world needs every single one of you to spread your message, to be bold and courageous, to go out there and do what you were put on this earth to do. I hope that you take it seriously. I hope that you utilize everything that has happened this year, the craziness and madness that has been 2020, to motivate and catapult your success in the upcoming year. And I am not going to stop talking about this. I'm going to hold you accountable to doing it because I know you're amazing and you deserve to go out there and give it everything you have. At the end of the day, we get one life. And if you don't do it now, A year will go by and you'll regret not doing it. 5 years will go by and you'll wonder what if. 10 years will go by and you'll still be wondering what if? What if you'd given it your all? What if you had stepped out in confidence and in faith and you had actually claimed the incredible blessings that are already here for you? Remember, the Creator put you on this earth for a reason. You're incredible, you're unique, and you have so much value to offer to other people. So I'm counting on you. I'm excited, and I hope that you continue to follow through. And listen, I can talk about creating business strategies all day long, but I want you to go over, watch or listen to our episode on creating your one-page business plan. It's totally going to blow your mind. And we have an entire template. It's totally free. You can fill it out with me, and we're going to put that strategy together. So check out that video next, and take a picture of your one-page business plan. Come over to Instagram, tell me all about it, DM me. I love it when you guys DM me. There's so many DMs. I just get so excited. Would love to hear from you. What is your 2021 strategy? What are you actually going for in the new year? And are you feeling excited, empowered, and just ready for it? I hope you are, because I sure as heck am. I love you. I mean it. Un beso, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.